All right, I've had 2 beers. I'm gonna cook some craft dinner here, and I'm gonna talk about intelligence organizations. You know, like Five Eyes. Let's see, MI5, CIA, CSIS, or any equivalent, you know. Because obviously the most intelligent thing to do is not to go to open warfare, you know, because that's mutually assured destruction. And, you know, I'm watching this to make sure that it doesn't boil over. And people have a lot of fear and anxiety associated with these organizations because, you know, well, it's spooky, right? That's the whole point. That's the entire point, right? The propaganda is you know, as weaponized art is, you know, just one tactic against killing each other. Because, you know, again, the most intelligent thing to do is not to go to war. So everybody, you know, anyone that's interested in, you know, the history of propaganda is that when you only go to war when diplomacy fails. You know, and as of this moment, you know, Canada and China, we're not exactly friends right now. We expelled each other's diplomats. You know, and China's on this headlong path towards, you know, self-destruction. They're willing to be suicidal to appease the greed of a certain sect of Jews. Let's be honest about that, because, you know, there's Jewish people in China. I don't think you knew about that, right? But you know, this is just you know, this religious, inbred, short-sighted Machiavellianism, right? This bellicosity that exists among some people, because let's be honest, they're inbred. They're stupid. They're fucking stupid. You know? Only the stupid resort to violence as the first tactic when it comes to any kind of negotiation or means of equity. You know, fear. Fear is just messing with us. You know, and you know, when I do these videos, you know, I'm just improvising. But you got to realize that I've taken so much time to study and understand psychological warfare since my teenage years. Because I grew up in the era of the war on terror, right? The infancy of modern psychological warfare was born in the Vietnam era, right? The dropping of leaflets, the use of music and artwork in order to communicate this idea that you don't want to mess with us, right? This is the whole point behind the ISIS propaganda of the early thousands, using social media to communicate the strength and the intelligence of a people, that we need to be respected, and that if you don't negotiate with us, we'll resort to guerrilla warfare and terrorism, suicide bombers, right? Because, you know, violence is part of humanity, and you know, there's a standard to bear. You know, these demonstrations, these threat displays, because we're not any different than the monkeys in the forest. We're not. And people like to think that we're superior to the rest of nature and ecology, but we're not. We're not. Just because we came up with a means of more efficiently producing, you know, alcohol or agriculture, so we didn't have to be nomadic. We didn't have to, you know, swing from tree to tree. That we came up with the concept of slavery. technology, right? That was part of the first draft of the history of propaganda in Trois Rivières. You know, how much has the technology, the tools, right? I'm looking at an induction stove right here, and you're obviously watching this from your phone or your computer. How much smarter can we get before we're stupid? You know, how many conflicts is it going to take for people, for the less intelligent, less educated to understand there's no more running from the age of information, you know, this the post-internet epoch. You know, education used to mean something. Higher education, post-secondary. You had to earn it. That was the whole point, is that the you had to learn. Whoops. From experienced and intelligent people, how not to stir the pot in a way that would result in mutually assured destruction. Now I got some beef here, and obviously I got some beef with other people in different organizations because of, you know, preferential treatment to certain groups in society, and of demographic and of sexual orientation. Again, these continuous themes with the history of propaganda. Because when you have too much homosexuality, you have too much degeneracy, you have too much religious superiority, it leads to the demise of everything that is beautiful. I've spent my entire life to be an artist and an engineer. So if you perceive me as being aggressive, then you're right. Because if I, as a human being, and as an individual that pursues intelligence and knowledge and wisdom, is not appreciated because of psychopathic intention and practice, then we're all fucked. It makes me think of Ivan the Terrible, you know, Russian history. You know, Ivan, he murdered his own son. Just to stay in power. when we let the stupid people in our humanity, of our genealogy, rule the world, the result is obvious. Because again, part of the engineer's dilemma, if you create a system that even idiots can use, only idiots will use it. I've spent my entire life to be the person that I am. So when I hear other people say that they have suffered and that their suffering is more important than mine, I'm obviously going to be fucking angry. Suffering is universal. It's not just defined by race or origin. It's part of the human condition. You have to sacrifice something. You have to put something in to get something out. No blood from a stone. There's some parts of human behavior that are just unacceptable if we're going to maintain any semblance of peace. You know, these are, if I'm going to make this, you know, something of a summary for the third volume in the history of propaganda, that if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, don't fucking do it. There's always an equal and opposite reaction to everything that we do. You know, in the intelligence community, that's called blowback. And I don't care if I freak people out by posting this, you know, just by talking about this stuff, because not everything that we think is what we perceive it to be, right? The whole, you know, allegory of the cave, the Matrix, you know, idea and concept. How many years did you spend how many hours did you burn sitting in front of a computer, learning as much as you could about humanity? Because if you didn't do the work, you don't deserve the position that you have. Because power and leadership is a burden. And only the strongest of us can deal with that. You know, from the ground up. When the psychological warfare school in Kingston ignored me, just like the recruiting office here in London, telling me that I had too much debt, I wasn't worth their time, and that I had to go back to the nose on the grindstone in order to be worth something. Do you know how insulting that was? I spent 20 years of my young life trying to be a military officer. And when I was confronted with the reality of humanity and the preferential treatment of certain groups and certain sexual orientations, I knew right then and there that we were corrupt. And that I wanted nothing to do with it. This is why I turned down my commission at 19 years old. You know, I would have been maybe a major or a captain in the CIC. I would have gone through the same training as regular officers in the Canadian military. Because that's what changed over the years. Is that the CIC has to go through BMQ. They have to learn how to shoot the C7. They deserve respect. They're special forces. They're the best instructors in the entire Canadian military. Because if you can teach a child, you can teach an adult. And that's the scariest thing. Give me a child, I'll give you a communist, right? You don't have butter. Rendered fat, always. Hey, how you doing? Everybody knows Zoe. Come here. Come here. I'll be sad when she dies. I'm sad that she has a huge lipoma and I can't do anything about it. And that she has spasms. Right? It's just bronchial spasms. I'm very sad that people in my life have chosen the illusion of communication over face-to-face interaction. I'm just absolutely, you know, discouraged by this escapism. You know, I know my dad gave me shit for this when I was younger because I was spending so much time in front of the computer in the basement being a neckbeard. But I was trying to figure something out. I was trying to figure out without having the words to describe what I was doing. But people don't give respect to youth, right? In higher positions. You have this thought in your head, oh, they're not worth, they're just young and stupid. Young and stupid. They don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, cadets, scouts, cubs, ROTC, JROTC. People hate them, and they hate us. They hate us. I'm not joking, you know, I was it from 1995? From a cub, right? Then the scouts, then the cadets. I was grooming myself for military service. But people don't want to hear the truth, you know? And what's the phrase? If you love someone, tell them what they need to hear. If you don't like someone, tell them what they want to hear. There's a lot of secret societies out there, and people want to think that they're all evil because they don't understand the initiation rites. They don't understand the price of what humanity actually has to pay. You know, what it is to make something. What it is to you know, lay the foundation, the brick and mortar of a better society. And then there's always the question, what is a better society? Progress for progress' sake. Simple idioms in the tradition of the oral, right? The spoken word. Now the CIA and other intelligence agencies have a long tradition of cooperating with artistic and creative people. Because as I mentioned, you know, in another video, creativity is a threat display. This is why, you know, tribal, you know, in different tribes, I think about the natives and the headdress and the ceremonial garb. Look at how smart we are. Look how resourceful we are. Nonverbal communication. And I have to highlight, you know, that there's a Korean connection here, you know, between me And obviously this channel's name being Everyday Taekwondo, and me having a green belt in Taekwondo, I fucking earned that. Don't you fucking mistake me. I'll fucking kick your fucking ass. Because it doesn't take a black belt to kill someone. I'll even do it with my fucking broken ankle, okay? Because people underestimate Canadians. And people don't appreciate Canada. I have to admit, you know, I'm very pissed off at times. You know, there's a bit of deception and ambush predator mentality. I'll just put it right in the open because, you know, there's people within the command structure, they can't talk about it. They won't talk about it. Because they prefer it that way. They prefer a bit of, you know, smoke and mirrors. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you gotta have, especially if you're playing a chess game, a dangerous chess game like this is. So why was chess invented? It's because the royalty at the time understood that if you eliminate the competition, there's nothing to live for. I gotta say, you know, there's a lot of people out there that think white people are the devil. You know, they want to make us the enemy of mine. This is basically hamburger helper. Everything I'm eating right now is basically from the food bank. No. Not now. No. It took me years to learn how to be like this. Years. Let's add a bit more fat to that. Maybe some butter. Technology is the difference between poverty and enslavement. You know, we're not created equal. So when people don't respect Northern European or Canadian heritage, or even American heritage for the matter, especially when other people from across the world have spoiled and destroyed their own heritages and then blame us for it. I'm not happy about that, and I shouldn't be. It's victimhood culture. I am not responsible for the plight of other people. Do I benefit, as the argument is? Yeah, probably. But the choice is always to make the deal or not. There is a geographic association with intelligence. We're not created equal. And this language of victimhood culture is created by the weak and the lazy in order to usurp the power structure. And they use this propaganda, you know, and they insult their enemy, expecting us to lay down. And frankly, tactics of the past by my own people used very similarly. Because we all practice psychological warfare. Every day, every person. But it takes the most intelligent of us to recognize the consequences of the practice. Do you know what it took to make this mug? That's real gold on it, you know? It is. But don't think for a second, I don't clean my own shit. Because I do, right? I'm looking at this Corning, right? This glassware from the 1990s. And I look at this cast iron skillet. I have no idea where it came from or where it was made. It's probably made in a third world country. For people that make, you know, pennies on the dollar, if not less than that because of exchange rates. And this is why, you know, the very paper of extraordinary warfare was created. Because of the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, in different groups, in different cultures in the world. You know, this is just how it is. How much technology did it take for me to have this meal? And for you to watch me put it together? How much power, how much strength, how much ingenuity of Korea? My sister, Natalie, worked in the Korean orphanage. And, you know, I highlight Korea because of the obvious implications of democracy versus communism. And my sister, she suffered the consequences, you know, of PTSD. She doesn't like talking about it. But when we allow exploitation to continue, you know, and again, this is a commentary on Samsung as well, because Samsung in Korea has a huge amount of power within the country. No. No. Now, without balance, without the yin and yang, right? We're all screwed. And this is why wars are fought. It's to restore balance. But at the same time, wars are fought for a multitude of reasons. Reasons for war, right? But if you're not paying attention, you deserve everything that happens to you.